Hello, I am Professor Rios. In this occasion, I will be here in my WebEx meeting room to answer any questions that you may have for the next hour and a half. I'm going to answer previously asked questions because I think some of the questions might be common to many other students. So let's see. Some of the questions that have been asked, for example, is what is my book? This book is an ebook, and that ebook is going to be available as you need it. You don't have access to the complete books from the beginning, from page 1 to the end of the book, because this is a controlled um, information in the sense that we don't want to overwhelm you with so much. So that being said, let's see, and I'm going to change to student view. This is exactly what you would be looking at. Okay, so right now this is the student view as you are seeing this, as you would see this in your own computer. And let's see, for week 2, what you are responsible for doing in week 2, which is this week here, is the discussion, the course project selection, lesson 1 knowledge check, which is required, module 2 lesson 3 knowledge check, which is required, and lesson 3 check, which is required. Module 2 reinforced concept, the muscular system, and this is graded. You can take this as many times as you want, but you have to have a perfect score. Remember, the purpose of this is for you to learn. So let's take a look at module 2 discussion, the first discussion. The first discussion is related to the skeletal system, and if we click here, it reads as follows. Bones who have broken one or more bones. Know someone who has. Many of us know somebody who has broken bone. What kind of bone was fractured? Long, flat, irregular, or a short bone? And how did it happen? Is the process of repairing a bone the same as building bone? Explain. So this, you have to basically explain how the bone repairs itself and how the bone grows. And you can read about this in the skeletal system, topic 1. Now, topic 2, the muscular system, you're supposed to discuss the similarities and differences between the skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle tissue. Include the following information: the location, the structure, which could be microscopic, what are the similarities or differences, and the function. Okay? And for topic 3, you're supposed to answer the following question. Should a professional athlete be more concerned if they break a bone or if they tear a muscle? Would you depend on the affected bone muscle? Why and why not? Discuss the pathologies of each and make an argument. You should try to answer these questions after you do your reading, because if you don't do your reading, how are you going to answer these questions? But remember, these are the discussions for this week, and you must remember answer the first discussion by Wednesday, at the latest by Wednesday. And then for each of these discussions, you have to comment on 2 of your classmates. That is to get full credit. And remember, they have to be quality posts. It's not good enough to say Yes, I agree or I don't agree. Okay? So that being said, let's go and see what are the different, what are the lessons that you need to, or where you can read about this. Okay? Um, well, actually, if you read this, it says here, and that's why you need to read the instructions. Select one of the topics and post your response. One of the topics. So it's not that you have to answer the three posts. Imagine this one would be three posts, uh, another one, the second one another three, the third one another three, is too many posts. So basically, what you need to do is to choose one post, one topic, and start posting. And remember, the post must be on different days. You should post the first time before Wednesday and twice more before Sunday night, which is when it's the due date. Okay, so of all these, again, it's not the three posts, is you have to choose one of the three. Okay, now let's take a look at this week 2 lessons. Okay, the week 2, here is the overview. Okay, basically tells you that what is going to be covered in this week. Um, Basically, you're going to be covering the skeletal system, muscular system, and pathologies of both systems. And the objectives of this um, part of the course is for you to be able to answer questions about any of those three subjects that you have. That being said, let's take a look at the actual book where you would see more information about this. Okay, so this is the overview, and these are the discussions, and this is lesson of module 2, lesson 1. In this case, you have the skeletal system provides structure for the body in a way that the frame provides structure for a house. In addition to providing support, the bone plays a crucial role in movement and displacement. Okay, so all this information you will find in reading module 2. In order to read module 2, what you're going to have is we're going to click here where it says lesson 1, okay, and see it done this before. It brings you to Cengage. Okay, so this is your book, this is lesson 1 of your book. So you click here and it brings you to this page. Okay, this page that tells you 1 the skeletal system, structure, long bones anatomy, bone growth, and here it tells you about the different subjects and the details of what you need to know, because remember, you are not going to be a doctor or a nurse by taking this class. The purpose is for you to become familiar with the terminology so you can do your job effectively when you do medical coding. So even though this is a lot of very intimidating, do not despair and do not think that it's impossible. All you have to do is to become familiar. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you can take the test 100 times, as long as you get the perfect score, then you will be fine, because that means you are familiar already with the terminology. Now, if you click there and you don't get an information, you may have to register in Cengage as a student. So some students have asked me about that. It doesn't let me go forward. But if that's the case, a menu will come up and I will ask you to register. Basically, your contact information, your email from the bride, and so on, so you have access to the rest of the information. Okay. So that being said, I hope that you guys are in good position to complete this week. Now, when it comes to uh, subject selection for your topic, I want you to choose something that is of your interest, because something that is not of your interest is not going to drive you to learn anything. It must be something interesting, and let me tell you, even if it is not in the list, okay, I will approve it. Make that inquiry, and I will approve that, because the important thing is for you to become familiar with medical terminology. So one student asked me, Professor, can I do this about lupus? Because my mother said, fine, do it about lupus. Send me an email, and I'll be happy to um, approve that. Okay, because the important thing is for you to become interested in it and to actually learn something about this. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to record some other videos now about live um, questions that students have asked me, and I will take it from there. Let me see what other questions have been asked about the lesson. What is my book? So your book is, as you are completing every lesson, you're going to be seeing different links where you can link. And let me see. And also have been asked that students don't have access to books that are down the line. Um, Books that are down the line, you're not supposed to have access to, but let's see what, since I'm looking at this, like if I was a student, if I can actually see that, okay? You see how this is grayed out for week 3? As a student, you would not have access to this rest of the course because we're not there yet. So this is a controlled um, module in which you are supposed to cover things right now of module through, and the previous week, if you were delayed for some reason, I'll take your late work. Okay, I understand that a lot of students are. This is the first online course, and it's the first class, and all this I understand it can be intimidated. But do not despair. I am here to help. You can reach me 24/7. If I have your contact information, I will answer the phone even if I'm driving. Otherwise, you can send me an email and I will respond within 24 hours. But if you want me to respond right away, make sure I have your contact information, like I requested in the beginning of the announcements. And that time, if I see your call, I will just pick up the phone if I can. Okay, so that I hope answered the question to many of your students that you are not going to have access to other modules that you are not, if you are not in that week. Different is if you have a surgery schedule, for example, and you are inquiring if you can actually do that during that time, then we can talk about that and see what is best for you. If I can open those sections for you so you can complete that, or if you can do it at a later time. But that is on individual cases, okay? It doesn't, we cannot open this for everyone, as to do work, like you want to do all your work in one day. That's not the way it's going to work. So, and let me tell you, the project is something that is done throughout the whole course. Okay, you do little by little every week. First, you choose the subject, then you might be asked to write an introduction about this, or an outline, or references. Um, Little by little, you are building up your project. Okay, so I don't want you to think that the course project is unrelated what you choose in week 2 as compared to what you need to do in week 3 and 4. It's basically the same subject. It's just different things that you are being asked, so you can complete this little by little and you can learn about the subject. Um, every year, questions come about this because for some reason students think that the project is every week is something different. I know it's every week you do a puzzle of the big project. Okay, so that should be clear with this. I intended to do individual recordings, um, but maybe it's been better just to go through the whole thing and all the questions that have been asked. Um, Now, you have here some options in terms of getting started using MindTap and the online textbook, using PlayPosit, lesson navigation, the Right University Tech Path, expectation and outcomes, course project overview, course resources, and Cengage technical support. Let's click here on course project overview so you can see what are the different parts of the project, okay, and the deliverables along the course. In week 2, like this week, you should choose your project selection. Okay, that's worth 45 points. In week 4, you need to choose and do your course project outline, okay. What is an outline? Outline is sort of a guide that you're going to follow to complete your program, your course. And in week 6, you're going to do your course project peer review. By that time, you have already worked enough in your project so that you're going to submit a PowerPoint of where are you up to, preliminary presentation what the project will be, and you will have other classmates to review that for you. At that time, it's very important for you to submit that by Wednesday. Why by Wednesday? Because you need to comment on your other 2 classmates um, uh, project, okay? You need to comment this before Sunday. So if you submit this on Sunday, how anybody is going to comment on this? So that's why in this particular case, you will not submit that on Sunday like you usually do. You will have to submit that on Wednesday, so that you have time to comment on your classmates, and your classmates will have time to comment on your project. And in week 8 is the course project final narrated presentation. This final narrated presentation, I had a number of situations that the students told me, I don't have a microphone, the microphone is not working. Do the best you can. Remember that the goal of this is to develop your communication skills, your presentation skills, because the better communication skills you have, the better off you're going to be in your job. And if you want to grow in the company that is going to hire you, again, communication skills are worth its weight in gold. So that concludes this table of content on the project in terms of what needs to be done um, on on different days. So let's go back to this. On week 1, I introduce the project, expectations, and deliverables, and get students thinking about time management for the remainder of the course. Week 2, the deliverable is course project topic selection, that is worth again 45 points. Week 3, the milestone is begin preparing the course project, and your outline will be submitted in week 4, but you are already working this from week 3. You're going to have roughly 2 weeks to do this. Don't wait until the Sunday night before you need to turn that in, because you can tell when a project is not project at all. So in week 4, you will submit the course project outline, which is worth 75 points, and then in week 5, you will begin converting the course project outline into a PowerPoint presentation for the project peer review that is due in week 6. Now, on week 6, you have, like I said earlier, by Wednesday, submit your draft to the course project review so that your classmates can comment on this. And then on 2 separate days, just like a regular post, you need to provide feedback to at least 3 peers. Okay? So that's why it's so important to read the instructions so you can get full credit for your work. Now, provide 2 areas of improvement of the work that you are evaluating for your classmates. Usually, for example, if the letters are too small, if there is not enough contrast between the letters and the background, you are not going to be able to read that very clearly, and is one strong point to suggest change the size of the letters because such and such, or change the contrast. Remember, every time that you suggest something, you should provide a solution. Unless, if you want to be part of the solution, do that. It will save a lot of headaches in your work. So in week 7, you start working on the improvement on the feedback that your classmates mentioned in your project, and then you start modifying the final PowerPoint presentation and adding narration to it. Okay? So in week 8, you should submit the final narrated presentation, which should be between 8 and 10 slides. So you have lots of time to work on this, and I'm telling you, the more interested you are in this project, the better off and more of a wonderful project you will be able to do, and the more you will learn about this. Okay? So these are more detail about what you need to turn in. So everything is so clear in the shell that there should be no question. Another source of questions is the course project outline. Oh my God. What is the course project outline? If you see in this example here, okay, and this is the structure that you should follow. It's so easy. Let's read this. The course project outline is set up in the form of a quiz. However, there is no time limit, because there is no time limit and answers are automatically saved. Students will be able to leave and enter the quiz as many times during the week as they like. Students will be filling out, which will be used in the creation of the presentation. The outline will include the following: background, what is the name and what is the story of that name, how long society is known about the selected topics. So as you can see, this is basically showing about the structure. So you have a background, and then you have a description of the topic, okay, in terms of systems, diagnosis, treatment, prognosis, body systems addressed by this topic, parts of the body that are involved. For example, for the coronavirus, what is involved? The lungs, the first thing that is attacked in this case. In C, for example, we see an explanation of the significance of this topic in the health sciences and in the future impact of your career, the career in the field. New technologies, new job opportunities related to the topic, if that's the case. In point E, you will write details for at least 2 academic references used in the research of your topic. These can be books, articles in scientific journals and websites, images and pictures obtained from the internet and that are used in the presentation must also contain APA citation and references. Professor, what is APA? APA is a way of typing a paper or a writing that everybody understands. And there are some examples here. In point F, you see explanation of any additional resources that you will use to support your research. For example, you may work in a related field and use your expertise or the expertise of a colleague or a friend. Interviewing family friends is also an acceptable source of experts. This assignment is worth 75 points and it must be submitted by the end of week 4. This part here is the source of so many questions, and it is so straightforward that you only need to spend a little bit of time reading the details of this. During week 6, you have the course project peer review, which is worth 125 points. This draft PowerPoint presentation will be submitted in week 6 discussion course project peer review. In this discussion, students will post the draft PowerPoint presentation in the forum for others to review and provide feedback. Remember, you have to do this by Wednesday at the latest. Okay, don't wait until Wednesday because you need to comment on 3 of your classmates. So basically, this corporate overview should have 1, 2, 3, 4, around 8 slides. And what should those slides be? Slide 1 covers slide in APA format that involves title, name, and name of school. Slide introduction, a brief introduction of the body system for audience understanding. So many times the students will submit only their name, and let me tell you, in order for any submission to be perfectly identified, it requires a number of things. It requires the name of the student, the name of the assignment, the name of the class, the date, and the name of the professor. If 5 items that must be required to place in any submission by any student. That is because of programmatic accreditation. And some students will submit just the name because they know it's them, or sometimes without no name at all. Because since it is in the shell and it's in the part of the shell, so it's okay. The professor knows mine, but it doesn't work like that. Now, for the narration, you have 2 options. The narration can be narrated via Kaltura video screen share, or the narration can be done using the PowerPoint audio. So there are two ways of doing this again. The Kaltura video screen share or the narration that can be done with PowerPoint audio. You have to make sure you have the latest version of PowerPoint, otherwise you may not have those features available. The length of the narration should be a maximum of 5 minutes. In the narration, elaborate on the topic on each slide. Basically, make sure the narration is clear, easy to understand, well articulated, with a tone of voice inflection that will engage your audience. Detailed instructions by creating Kaltura videos or creating a narrated PowerPoint is provided in the course resources page located under, okay? Introduction to resources, click to access student resources, center, access student resource, and scroll to either PowerPoint or Kaltura Media. So in the course project peer review, all students will evaluate the project of 3 other classmates, as I mentioned earlier, because if you do less than that, you are not going to get the same number of points, of course. So basically, in the peer review, you need to provide a feedback in the following manner. You need to mention 2 or 3 strengths of the draft point presentation that you are evaluating. Okay, 2 or 3 of those. And you should mention 2 or 3 areas where improvement, 2 or 3 areas where there is room for improvement. Okay, so basically you have to make those comments like that. You need to use the feedback received from your classmates to further refine your draft and submit this at the end of the week at the end of week 8. This assignment is worth 125 points. Now, the week 8, which is the final course project narrated presentation, includes the following. You need to incorporate feedback by your peers and your professor from week 6, course project peer review, and finalize the course project final narrated presentation. Add the final narration to the presentation as either a Kaltura screen sharing or PowerPoint audio. For help with Kaltura, PowerPoint audio, go to the course resource tab and locate the tab for Kaltura PowerPoint. Submit the final version of the project final narrated presentation no later than 12 o'clock at night on Saturday of week 8. Okay? It's not Sunday, Saturday. The assignment is worth 120 points. And how are you going to be graded on this? You're going to be graded on this in the following way. Formatting will take care of 20 points. Okay? The formatting of your project. That includes the cover slide, introduction, content of the presentation, conclusion, references, and images. Images are actually optional, but it looks a lot better with images than without images. Quality work must be academic and comprise or require context for APA. APA cover slides, APA citation, used for images, quotes, and applicable paraphrase content. APA references slide for content and images. So that formatting will take care of 20 points of your work. The audio, which is a document that contains the narration in either Kaltura screen or PowerPoint audio. Okay? The length is a maximum of 10 minutes. Topics in the presentation are elaborated on. clarity of voice and articulation, voice inflection and tone. If you read voice inflection and tone, audible energy, it's flat. But if you go voice inflection and tone, audible and engaging to the audience, you have to have um, intonation of as you speak. The content is actually 65% of 65 points of the grade. So that includes synoptics of the project, which includes introduction, background on the topic, relevant information on the topic, presentation of findings or outcomes, scientific assessment, and analysis of the topic. Grammar takes care of 20 more points, is related to quality work, will be free of any spelling, punctuation, or grammatical errors. Sentences and paragraphs will have to be clear, concise, and correct. And that's take care when it comes to grammar, 20 points. The total is 120 points that you are assigned for this project. So we have covered most of the questions that most students have, and I hope it's clear for all of you. Remember, I am here to help you. That's all I do. I am here to help you. And if there is something that you don't understand, something as simple as choosing the topic. Professor, I don't know what topic to choose. It's hard for me to choose a topic. Get in touch with me, and I will ask you a couple of questions in terms of things that happen to your family or to you, and I will suggest topics that for you to do the course project with. Okay. So there is also an issue that I don't have PowerPoint, I don't have this, I don't have that. Okay. This software page is designed to show the course-related technologies associated with your course enrollment. You currently do not have, well, this is because it's the case of me, but you guys, the rest of the students, do have access to downloading, Office, PowerPoint, and the like. And that's basically what I wanted to cover about this. Those are most of the questions that everyone have. I would have this. Well, by the way, since I'm doing this with the WebEx, let me see if anybody is here. Actually, I didn't start a meeting. Of course, everybody came in. They didn't. My goodness. If anybody popped in, didn't find me. But I should usually get an email or, and know that someone is waiting for me in the room. Since this room is unlocked, okay, so it should be okay. So I hope this answered most of your questions. The first thing is logging into Canvas. Most of the students have already logged into Canvas, so that means that your email and everything is working fine. But if you are watching this, of course, you are into Canvas, so there is no doubt about that. So if you don't have any questions, then feel free to contact me anytime about this course, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Okay, I don't want anyone, listen to this, okay, I don't want to hear that anybody dropped out of this class, because then I feel like I failed. Okay, and I love to teach. If you have questions, if you have something that worries you, If you have something that you feel like you have a mental block and I can do this, get in touch with me, please. Okay? Don't just go ahead and drop the class. Um, you're wasted in this class because you have a goal, okay? And that goal is basically to better your life. I don't think anybody would register in a class to waste their time. I think that most people who drop out are because they feel they don't get help, or they get stuck for some reason, they don't advance, or I don't know about this, I don't know about that. I am here to help you, okay? So I don't want to see anyone dropping out of this class. I will understand if you get, you know, something happens to you that can happen to any of us, and you cannot continue. But if that's not the case, if it's only because you think it's too much material, or because it's overwhelming, or because you have 2 jobs, 4 kids, and a husband, go to my web page, CeiroRios.com, scroll down, and find story written by Evelyn. Evelyn was a student in this same class who called me to say goodbye. And to my surprise, I said, "What do you mean goodbye?" He said, "Professor, I am quitting this class. I'm dropping out. I just wanted to say goodbye." I said, "Excuse me? I never spoke with you. You never asked for help. You're turning your work." And she goes, "You have no imagine, Professor, how hard it has been for me to turn in what I've turned in. I have a husband, I have 3 kids, and I have 2 jobs. And this is overwhelming for me." I remember it shocked me. Okay? I remember I stopped for a minute and I just told her, "Evelyn, if you want to do this because you want to better your life, I will help you out. Okay? I will invest any time is needed for you to complete this class and complete this program. So I'm not going, if you want to drop out, I cannot tell you, you know, do it or you don't. But all I'm telling you is that if you want, okay, to better your life and not be a quitter, I am here to help you." All she needed was a little bit of encouragement. She decided to stay, and she has already graduated. Um, and she sent me that thank you letter. It's been like 2 years ago. She said, "Thank you, Professor, for encouraging me not to do that. I invite you to read it because it's things like that makes me feel that I can make a difference in student life." Okay, so that being said, don't even think about dropping this class. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. Reach out to me 24/7. Thank you. What is? Oh, okay. It started recording. I didn't record anything. I don't believe it. Wow. Okay. Oh, but I recorded that locally. Oh, okay. I'll see how I can make this available to you guys. Okay, great. Oh my God. I recorded it. It's just that it's not in the WebEx. It's not in the WebEx server, but it is in my computer. So I'll make this available with the link. Thank you.